Before I get into today's video, I've had a chest infection for the last few weeks, so I apologise if my voice sounds very rough. Nonetheless, today I'm feeling somewhat nostalgic. You see, many years ago, when I first started recording spectacularly unsuccessful YouTube videos, back in the day when, if a video got 10 views, that was brilliant. If it got a like, I was ecstatic. All those years ago, there was a group of people who I thought were fair game, and they are flat earthers, because to me, the flat earth community strikes me as a group of people going, look at us, we can't wait to show you just how moronic we are. People who don't get the reason you can't see the curvature of the earth is big. Then, 5 years ago, the pandemic struck, and it transpires that many of us know many more idiots than we thought we did. But over the last few days, I've been scrolling through the mental illness factory that is TikTok, and I've noticed that flat earth is making a comeback. Joy. So before we get into before we stare into the abyss of flat earth theory, a few points, because I'm aware there may be a few flat earthers watching this video. If that's you, please consider I'm not forcing you to be here. Move your thumb, I piss off forever, you never have to see nor hear from me again. Next up, from past experience, angry flat earthers love leaving very long, very abusive comments in the comment section. Again, you're welcome to do that, but be aware, there are a few things I find funnier than knowing that someone has spent an hour of their finite time on God's earth to call me everything under the sun, which we are rotating around, for me to just click delete and that comment has gone forever. And lastly, and most importantly, flat earthers. Just because you don't understand something, that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. For example, my mobile phone. I have no bastard idea how it works. It amazes me that all of us now carry around in our pockets these tiny machines with more computing power than NASA had for the entire space shuttle program. As far as I'm concerned, when I plug it in to charge at night, it's just topping up the witchcraft. Nonetheless, I know it's here, I know it's real. Right, let's get on with it.
Let's talk about airplanes, flights, and how they actually help prove the flat Earth. We're told the Earth spins really fast, about 1,600 kilometers per hour at the equator. But here's the question. If an airplane is flying east at just 800 kilometers per hour, how does it ever catch up to the ground that's supposedly spinning twice as fast? And what about landing? How can a flight safely land on a runway that's moving at 1,600 kilometers per hour underneath it? That sounds impossible. They say the atmosphere moves with the Earth because of gravity, like it's stuck on with Velcro. But above the clouds, there's just empty space. Does that really make sense? Now think about this. If Earth is really round and curving, every airplane would have to constantly tilt its nose down just to stay close to the ground. At regular speed, a plane would need to dip about 850 meters every minute, or it would start flying way off into the sky like 50,000 meters high in just 1 hour. But here's the thing, pilots don't do that. Once a flight reaches cruising altitude, the plane stays level. It doesn't dip, it doesn't curve, it just flies straight. That's a big clue. If the Earth was really spinning and curving, wouldn't every airplane have to adjust constantly? But they don't. Flights are smooth, level, and straight, just like the surface of a flat Earth. So next time you fly, look out the window and ask yourself, are we really on a spinning ball? Or are airplanes quietly proving the flat Earth every single day?
Where to even begin? Yes, everything is contained within the atmosphere, hence speed is relative. Now, to use flat Earth logic, and I use that term extremely loosely, if we use the analogy of an aeroplane, for a flat earther, everyone on board would be killed instantly. The damn thing's doing 500 miles an hour, 35,000 feet up in the sky. Now, if you try to sit on the wings of an aeroplane, that would be problematic, but inside, of course, it's a sealed environment. Everything is moving at the same speed. Once the plane gets up to cruising altitude, you can't even tell the fucking thing's moving. So yes, although the Earth is rotating at around 1,000 miles an hour or 1,600 kilometers per hour, so is everything else in this sealed environment, hence we don't feel it. Today there's barely a breeze in the air. How do flat earthers cope with seasons, the idea that we're also orbiting the sun? Please explain that, flat earthers. Are you just going to say, well, the Almighty, he turns the oven up a bit in the summer months? and above the clouds is just empty space? No, flurfers, it isn't. The atmosphere is there. It goes up for quite a long way. And if you want to get out of Earth's atmosphere, and I mean properly out, not pissing about like Katy Perry did on Blue Origin, you need to be pulling some serious speed, around 17,500 miles per hour. And this old argument that aircraft would have to constantly be putting their nose down so they didn't fly off in a fucking orbit. The plane gets up to its cruising altitude and just stays there. Once again, can't see the curvature, Earth is rather big. If it were true that planes needed to constantly put their nose down, then every pilot on the Earth would have to be in on the conspiracy. However, the thing I love about flat earthers is how confident they are with their harebrained ideas. As if they've discovered something that the most brilliant minds haven't. As if the brilliant scientists at NASA have missed something that Janine, who works 3 afternoons a week on the fish counter at Asda, has worked out for herself. And any flat earthers watching, if the Earth is flat, please explain this. Why does every long-haul flight plan look like this? Why aren't they just straight lines? I'll give you a clue. It's because the thing that the planes are flying over isn't flat. It's spherical. Technically, it's a geoid. I don't need to split hairs.
If gravity is real, why do helium balloons go up instead of down? They tell us gravity pulls everything toward the center of the Earth. But if that's true, why do balloons, smoke, and even bubbles in water rise? They say gravity is a fundamental force. But here's something crazy. It's never been directly measured. Gravity is supposed to be a force that makes mass attract mass. But have you ever seen a large object pull a smaller one toward it? Scientists have tried to prove it, but every test fails. Instead, what we actually observe is density and buoyancy at work. Objects don't fall because of some invisible force. They fall because they are denser than the air around them. A rock sinks in water because it's heavier than water. A balloon rises because it's lighter than air. No magic force needed. NASA says astronauts float because of zero gravity. But why do they train underwater, and why do some space videos show bubbles? Still think gravity is real? Let's question everything. Follow for more.
Well, fuck me roughly with a prize-winning carrot. They're now claiming that gravity doesn't exist. That gravity has never been measured. I'm fairly certain I am currently experiencing 1G. And again, referring to aircraft, combat pilots know all about the forces of gravity. And then asking the question, why does the helium balloon float? And then they answer the bloody thing, because helium is lighter than air. That doesn't mean that gravity doesn't exist. Watch. Then it's time for some good old-fashioned flat earth NASA bashing. As if the flat earthers are going to expose NASA. Now, first up, they never explain who was keeping it secret that the Earth is allegedly flat, which it isn't, it's round, before 1958, when NASA was formed. Then they make moronic arguments. I love the one there, why do astronauts train in water? I'm going to go out on a limb here. I guess if you want to train in space, you can only truly do that if you go to space. So the next best thing, before flying out of the atmosphere, is to do it in water. And those bubbles, they aren't bubbles. It's been debunked that many fucking times. They may be tiny ice crystals or flecks of paint caught in the light. We're meant to take this seriously. There are some flat earthers who don't even believe that Australia exists. According to the conspiracy theory, because that's what it fucking is. If you go to Australia, and this will be a shock for everyone watching down in the penal colony, it's actually either Portugal or Spain. And every single Australian is an actor played by NASA. How are we meant to believe that? Because surely by now, someone would have broken silence. And it also means that every fucking airline on Earth, the round Earth that's spinning, would have to be in on the conspiracy. And to take this ridiculous conspiracy theory further, they argue that what actually happened was, rather than people being transported to Australia, they were loaded onto British ships, taken beyond the horizon and thrown off the edge of the Earth. And yet, the idea that the Earth is flat is relatively new. But in the Western world, we're all told this story at school about Christopher Columbus proving that the Earth was round. That's bullshit. That story is much nicer than the genocide. And let's be clear here, Christopher Columbus was walking around South America thinking he was in fucking China. But the Vikings knew the Earth was round. The Egyptians knew the Earth was round. The ancient Greeks knew the Earth was round. Sadly, the idea of the Earth being flat comes from the 19th century here in Britain. In the 19th century, science had reached a point where the average layperson couldn't fully understand it. So there was a bit of a pushback. And one of the people pushing back was a British chap called Samuel Burley Rowbotham, who went by the name Parallax. And he was a crank, he was a lunatic. This is a man who had 15 children, but only 4 of them made it to adulthood. At least one of them he accidentally poisoned. So that's who the flat earthers got their initial ideas from. A crackpot, a lunatic, a man who decided that because he couldn't see that there's curvature on the horizon, that the Earth must be flat. A man whose ideas were disproved almost immediately when he wasn't too busy accidentally killing his own kids. I truly hope there isn't a resurgence of flat Earth theorists. Anyway, that's the end of this video. If you enjoyed it, please do like and subscribe if you haven't already. If you can leave a like or a comment, that really helps the algorithm. If you'd like to support me in making these videos, there's links in the description to my Patreon and Buy Me a Coffee. And as ever, thanks for watching. Before I get into this video, oh fucking hell, nearly. Before I get into this video, a word of warning. I've been unwell for the last few days, so my throat is really bad. So I'll just fucking start again. So for any flat earthers who may be watching, first of all, I'm not forcing you to be here. Move your thumb, I disappear. Next up, I'm aware that many flat earthers from past experience absolutely love, just because you don't understand how something works doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Now, I don't really understand how a jet engine works, yet when a plane flies overhead, I'm not thinking, look at great metal bird. And I'm from Norfolk. Force feed me jelly and strawberries, ram some custard up my anus and call me a human trifle. They're now saying fucking gravity doesn't exist. Samuel Burley Ramsbotham, who went by the name Parallax. Now, oh fuck!